Hello everyone, this is Shlok, and in this video we look at my XAT strategies, and I'm hoping to take you through everything that goes on in my head through the 3 hours. And the thing is, we are going to be talking about time management, our approach to different sections, some tips along the way, and some hygiene factors. So without further ado, I want to get started. Let's get started. Alright, so we click on the ready to begin button, and now we are in the section. What do I do the first time that I'm looking at the test interface? First thing I do is I go to the decision making section. I do not attempt it. I just go through all the questions of the decision making section and try to figure out if there is any quantitative decision making or not. So why is this important? Quantitative decision making questions take a long time, so that helps you out with being able to structure your time more effectively. For example, I know that if there is quantitative decision making, I'm going to need more time. But if the quantitative decision making is not there, then however long the text may be, I'll be able to finish the DM section in 35 minutes. So with that knowledge, I'm able to manage my time more effectively. So once I know if there is quantitative DM or not, then I move on to the quant section, which is, in my opinion, the most crucial section for the XAT, because it makes or breaks your score. So go into the QADI section. I give my 90 minutes to it, try to attempt 20, 22 questions, 23 questions, as many as possible, and even take a few guesses along the way if I'm stuck between two options. And I give it my everything, try to get 17 or 18 questions correct, try to get at least 16, 17 marks in. So that puts you in a very, very good and healthy spot where even if you manage 10 marks in each of the other sections, 10 or 12 each marks in each of the other sections, that really puts you in a very healthy percentile. So that's a little bit about the QADI section. One more thing I wanted to mention about the QADI section is the fact that when there are long questions, you need to write while you are reading the questions, because this is not like CAT where the questions are going to be relatively short. XAT has long questions. It is notorious for long questions. So if you write along with it while you read, it really helps you out in making sense of the whole situation. So that is one pro tip that I really follow. Additionally, now that we are in the last mile, I wouldn't really tell you to brush up on any new topics, but one thing that I think you should religiously follow is that you should leave the question within 4 or 5 minutes. I've increased the time limit. Let's say if you were in the CAT, you'd ideally leave the question in 3.5 minutes. But here, since we have more time, you should let go of the question within 5 minutes if you are stuck in it. And if you get stuck in it, there is no point giving it 10 minutes. Within 5 minutes, get out of the question. There are many more questions that will give you a chance to shine. So please do that. This is one thing that will really help you out in managing your time effectively. After that, we are done with the QADI section. We have some kind of good momentum that we have built up. We have attempted 22 questions, and we have a healthy chunk of marks, at least half of our marks already in the bag. And now we attempt the decision making section, or at least that's what I attempt as my second section. And the way I attempt the decision making section is that I look for the low hanging fruits first. That is the questions that are relatively short. And why I do that is not because they are gonna be easier. At times they are more difficult also, but the thing is, even if they were relatively more difficult, you would not have wasted a lot of time on them. And that really helps you. And in case if they were easy, then you would have one question in your bag. And if you have 2 or 3 such questions, then you've already built up momentum in yet another section, and that drastically improves your odds at excelling at the exam. So that is one thing that I really follow. Go for the low hanging fruits first. Additionally, I've also made a video discussing some recurring themes that I've seen appearing in a lot of past XAT papers. So please feel free to check that out. With that out of the way, we are done with the decision making section. We have attempted probably about 20 plus 15 or so questions. We have easily attempted upwards of 35 questions now. And now we head over to the VALR section, which in my opinion, people say the decision making section is the most difficult. In my opinion, the VALR section is the most difficult. The reason being not just the vocabulary and the difficulty in reading the RCs, but also the ambiguity in the options. The options are not as straightforward to eliminate as CAT, and in addition to that, there are 5 options, so you have yet another option that you need to take into consideration. So there is something about that. So once you are in the VALR section, again following the same strategy here as I did in the decision making section, go for the low hanging fruits first, go for the grammar questions first, go for the short CR questions first, try to do an RC in the middle of such questions, to take a break and then do an intense effort, then take a break again, then give it your all again. This way you can really bump up your score by gaining momentum. And also there are a lot of question types, such as there is grammar, there is CR, and there are a bunch of question types like these that are short. There is fill in the blanks as well, like we see in the NMAT. So these questions really help you out to sort of break the monotony and become fresh again, because this is a long stretch, this is a long haul. 3 hours, it seems like not a lot of time, but genuinely it is. If you have taken any XAT mock at a stretch, you'd know what I'm talking about. So it becomes imperative that you keep giving yourself breaks every now and then, even between sections. And sometimes, if your eyes are too tired, take a 30-second breather, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and get into it again. So that is a little bit about how I approach the VALR section. I wanted to add something for the VALR section again. One thing, super important thing, is that you need to be very, very, very careful when it comes to reading the final question stem. For example, I've noted down some of my own mistakes. For example, the last question stem stated that which of the following, it was an RC question, so the question stem stated which of the following cannot be inferred, and instead I ended up reading it as which of the following can be inferred, and I started looking at the options that way. So that entirely disrupts your thought process, and getting to the right answer becomes incredibly difficult. So I would really recommend you to be hyper focused on the ending question stem. And one more of my mistakes of a similar nature, which ones, it was a grammar question, so there were multiple sentences, and we had to choose which ones are correct and which ones are incorrect, and the final question was which ones are incorrect. And in my brain I was like, which ones of them are grammatically correct, and I started approaching it that way. But only later you realize that I was so close to the answer, I knew the answer, but because I read the question stem wrong, I couldn't get to the answer. So that is one thing I would want you to be very, very super careful about. Finally, in the last stretch, I just want to, collate all that I've talked about. Give 90 minutes. I give 90 minutes to the QADI section, 35 or 40 minutes each to each VALR and decision making section, and this could change according to your strengths, but the main point I'm trying to make here is that know your strengths and allot your time that way, which really helps you out in not just making the most of your time, but also maximizing your score. So that's a little bit about this part. Finally, I also wanted to touch upon some hygiene factors. So I would highly recommend you all of us know that XAT centers for some of us are exceptionally far away. I, for one, have been allotted my 5th preference. So I am probably going to be traveling upwards of 300 kilometers or so. And I'm traveling one day prior. So I'm going there on the 4th. I'm traveling to Rajkot on the 4th. And I'm going to be staying there overnight. So this really, it takes all the pressure out of me, because if I were to travel from Vadodara to Rajkot on the 5th morning, that really drains me out. So I would really recommend you to get to the city where your center is at least one day prior, relax over there and get your mind in a calm state. That is really going to help you out. So that is one aspect that I wanted to touch upon. Now, being done with all the XAT related discussion, I really wanted to thank each and every one of you. I just hit, I think, 400 subscribers today, and this feels like an amazing achievement. I have been able to connect with so many people, and my cat journey video, I got so many positive comments on it. The community has been really supportive, and people reached out to me saying that we are in the same boat and we'll sail through this, and we are gonna do well in life. So this is something that I did not know, the power of the internet, if you will. So that is something that really touches I don't have words to describe that. But I am feeling really glad that I am in a position where people think my content is valuable. 400 people thought that my content was valuable enough to subscribe to. So that is something that really makes me feel proud, and it makes me feel immensely glad. So yeah, thank you so much, and I'm hoping to make more such videos and keep connecting with you, and thank you so much.